Welcome back to Models and Agents, episode 40 for May 5th, 2026. Plenty of model releases and agent benchmarks moving today. OpenAI gives 8,000 developers a month of 10 times Codex rate limits after the GPT-5.5 party sold out. OpenAI turned its oversubscribed developer event into a broad giveaway that runs through June 5th. The company emailed more than 8,000 developers who applied for the invite-only GPT-5.5 gathering. Everyone who signed up, whether accepted, waitlisted, or rejected, received an immediate 10 times increase in Codex rate limits on their personal accounts. Codex itself reportedly handled registration and even suggested the May 5th date and format for the low-key San Francisco meetup. The practical effect is a full month of high-volume agentic coding at no extra cost, timed against Anthropic's competing Code with Claude events. Developers are already reporting the boost feels like a meaningful shift in daily workflow. Questions remain about whether the new limits stack with the $200 Pro tier's existing multiplier. Both OpenAI and Anthropic now compete directly for developer mindshare through access and tooling rather than announcements alone. This rate limit window gives builders a concrete chance to stress test agentic coding patterns without watching token counters. If you have been rationing calls to stay under limits, this month removes that friction. DeepSeek version 4 Pro just tied recent GPT-5.2 performance on a 30-day persistent memory food truck benchmark. It achieved the result while running roughly 17 times cheaper than the OpenAI model. The benchmark runs a simulated food truck through 34 tools with persistent memory and daily reflection. DeepSeek became the first Chinese model to reach frontier tier placement on this evaluation. Consistency metrics also favor it, with zero loans, lower food waste, and tighter outcome variance across runs. Xiaomi's MiMo V2.5 Pro joined the leaderboard shortly afterward at number 6. Two Chinese models now sit inside the top 6 at under $3.50 per run. Chuan released an official FP8 variant of its 27 billion parameter model. The setup keeps a full 200,000 token BF16 KV cache resident on a single 48 gigabyte card. It delivers 60 to 90 tokens per second with MTP equals 2 speculative decoding. Weights stay in FP8 while the KV cache remains in higher precision. Long agentic sessions therefore avoid the compounding errors that appear when both are quantized. The configuration delivers usable interactive coding performance without early context compaction. An anonymous model called Peanut debuted at number 8 in the artificial analysis text-to-image arena. Weights are expected soon, positioning it as the strongest open weights image model ahead of Flux Twenive and Twenive. Early indications suggest it surpasses current open checkpoints on prompt adherence and visual quality. It could become a near-term high-quality local alternative for image generation workflows. A pure C++ GGML port of Microsoft's Vibe Voice now runs TTS with voice cloning and long-form ASR with speaker diarization. The single binary supports CPU, CUDA, Metal, and Vulkan backends. The 0.5 billion real-time TTS model accepts 30-second reference clips and outputs 24 kHz cloned speech. The 7 billion ASR model returns JSON segments with timestamps and speaker labels up to 17 minutes of audio. Pre-converted GGUF models are already available on Hugging Face. The project integrates as a local AI backend with no Python dependency at inference time. A benchmark across 15 models and over 6,100 test cases showed a simple defense reaching 100% on several models. Wrapping untrusted content in a 128-bit random delimiter plus a short commanding instruction lifted defense rates dramatically. Gemma 4 moved from 21.6% to 100%. Grok 3 Mini Fast and Qwen 2.5 7B reached the same perfect score. The strict prompt template outperformed longer contextual reasoning prompts. The full dataset and evaluation harness are public on Hugging Face and GitHub for immediate integration. The FIDO Alliance has formed new working groups to define standards for payments initiated by autonomous AI agents. The effort targets authentication and attestation flows that let agents complete transactions without exposing long-lived credentials. Early participation remains open to implementers building agentic payment flows. A developer is using gRPO on a 3-node MLX cluster to train 350 to 500 million parameter models. The models must output exactly 64 tokens for Reddit post summarization. The setup runs synchronous parameter server training with VLLM-Metal rollouts on worker nodes. An LLM as a judge pipeline scores faithfulness, coverage, conciseness, and clarity. Length-constrained training from an already fine-tuned checkpoint improves stability over training from scratch. Users report that Qwen 3.627BQ8KXL begins repeating output once context exceeds roughly 100,000 tokens. The issue appears even with 200,000 contexts enabled and n-gram speculative decoding active. Suggested mitigations include lowering context to 131,000 tokens and enabling checkpointing every 8,000 tokens. A bill requiring age verification and disclosures for AI chatbots has been unanimously advanced to the Senate floor. The legislation frames the measures around child safety but introduces mandatory verification infrastructure. Local open weight deployments remain unaffected. Okay, let's pop the hood on mixed precision KV caching for a moment. Everyone talks about quantizing the KV cache as if it were a simple toggle. In practice, the decision splits weight precision from attention state precision. The KV cache grows linearly with context length while weights stay fixed. Keeping the cache in BF16 or FP16 while weights sit in FP8 or Q4KM prevents small per-step rounding errors. Those errors compound across agentic loops and multi-turn tool use. On a 40-hour gigabyte card, this split lets a 20,000 billion model hold 200,000 tokens of BF16 KV, plus the model itself. The cache occupies roughly 1.09 times the memory of an equivalent FP8 cache. It avoids the early context eviction that quantized KV forces. The latency cost is modest, typically 10 to 20% slower prefill than a fully quantized cache. The quality gain shows up as reduced repetition and more stable tool calling once context passes 80,000 tokens. The gotcha that bites most teams is assuming the same quant recipe works for both short chats and long-running agents. Persistent memory across dozens of tool calls needs the higher precision cache until the next generation of attention kernels arrives. If you have not tried the vibevoice.cpp binary yet, grab a 30-second reference clip and test zero-shot voice cloning TTS this week. It runs on Metal or CUDA with no Python stack required. Add a 120-second 8-bit random delimiter plus the short strict prompt template to any RAG pipeline handling untrusted web content. The benchmark shows it lifts several 7 to 9 billion local models to 100% defense rate. Run Qwen 3.627B FP8 through VLLM with BF16 KV cache on a 48 gigabyte card if you need 150,000 plus token agent sessions. Compare DeepSeek V4 Pro against GPT-5.5 on your own multi-step agent tasks using the food truck bench harness. You can check whether the 17 times price difference holds for your workload. Experiment with GRPO, length-constrained fine-tuning, on a 350 to 500 million model for summarization tasks, where output token count must stay deterministic. Anthropic's Code with Claude conference begins tomorrow in San Francisco, running in parallel with OpenAI's GPT-5.5 party tonight. Peanut text-to-image weights are expected in the coming weeks. Watch the artificial analysis arena for the first public numbers once released. FIDO Alliance working groups on AI agent payments will publish initial drafts later this quarter. Tomorrow, keep an eye on how the parallel San Francisco events shape developer access strategies over the next week. That wraps up today's AI briefing. Share this with a developer or builder who wants to stay current. Subscribe wherever you listen. See you tomorrow. This podcast is curated by Patrick but generated using AI voice synthesis of my voice. The primary reason to do this is I unfortunately don't have the time to be consistent with generating all the content and wanted to focus on creating consistent and regular episodes for all the themes that I enjoy, and I hope others do it as well.